Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
I started the recording and I immediately get hit with that, like the exact second I start the recording. Welcome back to Metaphor ReFantazio, everyone. Last time, we completed Eupha's trial, and because of that, we have a new bond. Yeah, there's actually only one more bond we don't have yet. Honestly, that is actually a topic that I could talk about. The fact that there are basically no new bonds in, like, many of the locations that you visit after, not even after Browhaven, after Martira, but, some people say that makes sense because, like, the protagonist would have less support outside of those places. But yeah, so let's check out the quest that we have to do. So, I can report that in and rank up Neuras. That's Barden. That's pretty easy to do on my own time. So we now have the Greater One-Eyed Scoundrel and also the Spire of Blind Faith. So, basically, my choice is which one to do first. And I'm actually thinking that we do the Scoundrel's Hold first. The main reason for that is because there'll be another relic, I believe, at the Scoundrel's Hold, and that will mean that I have a Neuras rank up in my back pocket to do on the way to the Spire of Blind Faith. So, yeah, here we go, Monster of the Scoundrel's Hold.
Want in on this?
Yes, I guess we do. Once home of bandits, but it's since been claimed by a horde of goblins. Yeah, that kind of thing seems pretty common. In fact, some people even theorize that the bandits turned into goblins.
Really?
Just between us.
There's also one-eyed cyclops. It's a mouthful. That's a lot like the Goblin King. So, like a lot of these monsters that use kind of organized tactics, the boss gets mad if the minions go down. Leave them alive, focus on disabling your magic while you take down the Cyclops. Yeah, so Cyclops doesn't like being poked in the eye, means it's weak to spears. We've already fought a few of them in the Dragon Temple. When did this one unlock? Village Trading Grand Trad. Oh, Ligno! Okay, yeah, that'll be on the way to the Scoundrel's Hold. Highly valuable weapons. They also have mellow milk and orgo sugar, and a bath salt that I don't care about because I'm not going to be able to use the bath for ages. I do have appraisable stuff though, and some of these do enhance into some pretty good things. I don't know why I had read that as Farmer's Edelgard fan at first. Farmer's Edged fan. Stronger, effective against plant-type monsters? I think we're kind of done with those for a little while, though. Not really the right time to get that. Coral Mail and gold tap shoes. The fan was nice, though. But I mostly came here to sell my haul from the trial grounds. We did get something that can be purified as a church from those trial grounds, but I'm not sure whether I have the holy water for it. No, I don't. But yeah, this is another one of those branching promotions or evolutions, so to speak. The Pure White Helm can become either a fire boosting helmet or a light boosting helmet. But I'm out of Heavenly Waters. You know, before I go, Adeni, is there going to be bad weather at the Scoundrel's Hold? I like that you can look at the weather and that's free, but actually changing the weather costs stuff. Nope, Scoundrel's Hold is totally fine. And I think now's the time where I should do some save abusing for Gauntlet Shrooms. And of course I get them first try. So this will take me 2 more days. And then it will take 3 days to get to the Spire of Blind Faith. I should still have enough time to do everything.
We have a pending request there.
Let's be off.
It's your call.
Oh yeah, that whole thing about chase 2 rabbits and will catch neither. However, as I like to 100% these dungeons, I'm going to be getting the treasure and fighting our foe. So let's go.
Great. Let's move out.
And I do believe that I am able to rank up Neuras now, which I probably should do. But it can be done in the night as well as the day. We're finally traveling over land though, so we won't be able to fish. I am a dumb and should have bought red grass. That's fine. This is why I wanted a Lord of the Lake, by the way. Can I make another cursed love ballad? Oh, Eupha's talking to Juna here. Yeah, I wouldn't really be able to tell that he was a warrior from you know, the way he acts, so kind of says something about his ego. Maybe we can try and finish off top secret poetry. Even though courage isn't exactly what I need right now, it's also the magic that turns dreams into reality, which is apparently repeated ad nauseum in a certain Tales of game. On one side, the world, on the other, a heart. I mean, that's actually not a bad metaphor. An enormous woman embracing the entire world with a smile. I mean, I guess that represents the power of, like, music and artistic expression. Or it could be some kind of ancient deity that, it's dreaming the world into existence, and if it were to wake up, then everything would stop existing. I am actually referencing something here. Hopefully at least somebody gets what I'm referencing.
Alright.
But yeah, that's the book finished, so another thing towards the achievement.
Coming into view is the village of Ligno, a frequent stop for capital-bound peddlers and merchants. Experienced traders who have withstood the trials of all the world's cultures and customs gather here with rare goods found nowhere else. Though the village has waned in light of the influx of monsters, it remains an important hub of commerce. Here in this corner of the world, the Gauntlet Runner arrives.
Giving it some thought?
We've been in the Grand Trad region for so long, and yet we've never even heard of this place. Oh, that says something about the monster attacks. Yeah, it looks pretty lively. I do like the idea of, like, a village like this built into a mountainside. Why is there a place so diverse, so close to Grand Trad? It makes no sense. Maybe that's why they don't talk about it in Grand Trad. Neuras, you should not be using the word stinky.
Let's go.
But yeah, let's see what the people here have to say. Best of all, we've got no snobbish nobles, or racists, hopefully.
No.
I see.
Ah, I take it Jin's been in this area. Yeah, perhaps some candidates will easily be able to get these people to vote for them if they just promise to do some, I don't know, merchant-y economy stuff.
That's...
Well, I mean, unlike those people, we actually are real heroes. But, you know, we can't exactly talk about stuff because what we're planning on doing next is a little clandestine. So, yeah, here we can buy that, we can buy mellow milk and orgo sugar, but... yeah, okay, so if you can somehow afford one of these, it will give you a big advantage going forward. Resist fire damage. Oh, actually, that might be... I kinda like that for later. Medium MP recovery. We also have ridiculously expensive armor that resists slash, and greatly increases evasion against... I wouldn't mind having one of those. I don't think there's a Citron in Steven Universe. I'm pretty sure there's a Guarded, an Opal, and a Peridot, though. I want to see if I'm able to get up to 300,000 by selling some unneeded weapons and stuff. Oh, that's Auto Tarokage. I might not want to get rid of that yet. Oh, that's normal attacks become Almighty Affinity. Interesting. Okay, I think I can afford one and still have some money left to spare, so I'm gonna go with the Snow Brushing Fan for reasons. I get the sense this won't be obsoleted by the point I really want it. The question is, once I get to that fight, do I want Tuna to be in Masked Dancer? I probably do. Because, yeah, you're not really likely to, you're not really likely to be returning to Ligno very much, so...
The Gauntlet Runner arrives at an encampment, and sensing no imminent threats, they breathe a collective sigh of relief. Yet the day draws to an end, and all are left to wonder how to spend the evening hours.
Feels like it's been ages since there's been actual rain. Does it ever rain around the Virg Archipelago? I mean, I guess it's a tropical climate. Memorandum. Ligno, okay. Settlement that merchants en route to the capital always visit is a good place of exchange for peddlers who pay for their lodging fees with regional specialty goods, which in turn allows other peddlers to procure and stock up on rare goods from faraway lands. The village's history is actually rather short, as the entire community moves to a safer location whenever war endangers the village. Well, hopefully that won't happen soon. Should the increasing monster attacks of recent years continue, the village may very well one day disappear. Okay, that is kind of sad. Luma Bee is really nice to have. But I think we're going to be ranking up Neuras tonight. But I was saying, the guidebook actually recommends farming until you have millions of reeves so that you can buy everything in Ligno. I really think that's overkill. Especially since the weapons will be outclassed eventually. Just pick whichever one of those that you think you want the resistance for the most. However, ice is highly recommended because there is a very infamous ice-using boss that will be in the next arc.
That's awful.
No, they're not awful. They are awesome. His reactions, I mean. Yeah, you hear about things being backward compatible, but you don't often hear about things being forward compatible. That is a good line, though.
Thank you.
6 Leaves of Light, I'll take that. They don't really seem like anything that would be from our modern-day world, now that we know about the old world. So maybe they were from a time in between the old world and the Uchronia of today. Interesting.
Of course.
I mean, they are convenient for some people. I mean, I feel like there's some analogies you could go into with Igniters, but I do want to talk about those later in Brigida's Bond, because they're a bit more relevant there. Oh.
How about that?
No.
Yeah, that is always a theme of scientists in, you know, both the real world and other media. Like, I know that, like, a lot of Japanese war criminals actually got pardoned by the US government in exchange for their research after World War II. And, like, they did some really horrific human experimentation. But yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that Neuras was involved in something that awful in the past, even if he didn't really know what he was getting into at the time. Yeah, it is always good to be responsible for positive inventions like that. No, this is absolutely a step up. Absolutely a step up. Anything's better than, you know, torturing, like, minorities and outcasts of society for the sake of magical inventions.
I'm a lucky man to be part of your grand quest.
Oh, that is nice. Oh wait, Gunner has more skill inheritance slots now. Yeah, I only had 1 slot on Gunner before. That's gonna really help given how much I like to use Gunner. But now we have Relic Search, Engineer's Destiny.
However...
That is such a cool name. Yeah. It's almost as if somebody scattered them to far reaches of the world, not wanting anybody to reunite them.
Well...
And that should be sooner than you think. I think one of them is in the Scoundrel's hold. Because it's been this late in the game, we're only at rank 4. Late night, we're about to be ambushed, aren't we? Yep, ambush. So let's skip over that. Oh, Spectos! That's kind of cool to fight them in the rain, though, but, they're just regular Spectos, but they are immune to everything physical. Do I have any of those holy ossuaries left? That's probably best saved for something else. Okay, dark damage is fine, so let's just throw that at them. Didn't finish them off. However, oh, I need to get you out of Merchant's Mask, but let's Infernal Vortex. Our MP is going to be recovered anyway. Holy crap, that damage. And speaking of, our MP is going to be recovered anyway, Infernal. Yeah, over 2,000 damage. And there they go, clipping through the floor. Oh! 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 Actually, hang on. Stroll go hides me? Well, maybe I did want to be in Merchant's Mask.
I shall do my best. Please go right ahead.
Debt collection again. Pass. Debt collection again. I'm getting all my MP recovered regardless, so I don't really care about spending it all here. And that is gonna be one big unscathed triumph. That wasn't yes, it was an unscathed triumph. Good. 6,500 mag.
Time marches on, and the age of a new
okay, so we're gonna be back on the road today. In fact, this will actually give me time to check the other, where the relic is. Grand Trad entry. Finding lying discarded around Grand Trad would be no great mystery. Might that mean the cave east of Grand Trad? That place was once a thieves' hideaway. Yep, it's definitely the Scoundrel's Hold. Actually, what does the Virga Island entry say? Erased and rewritten several times. That is accurate. Oh, I still haven't made the holistic whitefish platter yet. I'll have plenty of limp goldfish because you can buy them in the village on the way to the Spire of Blind Faith, so I'll have plenty of those later. Oh, I need brocaded koi. So I don't want to make finisher noodles. I guess I'll make another Sweeter Than Poison.
Okay, so
Sweeter Than Poison equals exactly one more debt collection on every character. So I've finished reading. Maybe now I could actually show off the altar.
what do you want to do?
My allies' max MP will increase.
Well then.
Now, let us pray! According to, as, you know, the merciful clergyman would say in Persona Q. And, of course, we are praying with Eupha, because why wouldn't we? And since summons are expensive, giving Eupha more MP is always a good idea.
The Gauntlet Runner finds itself at the Scoundrel's Hold, a cave system beneath the sand and rock, dug out by bandits over untold years. There were once treasures hoarded in the sprawling paths, but with the arrival of the monsters, only a vast labyrinth remains. The party wanders into the caves, now merely the wreckage of the bandits' dreams.
The wreckage of the bandits' dreams after they have been defeated so many times by Fire Emblem protagonists.
Is this the place?
Oh my.
Problem with that is goblins don't like mages.
Gosh.
And I want to say their dislike of staves also applies to Summoner, which is not going to be good for Eupha. Now, normally, I would have bought a, yeah, we know there's a relic of Neuras here. Normally, I would have bought a better Seeker weapon, because Seeker's pretty much the only thing that Eupha can really use here. However, I actually won't be needing that, because one of the enemies in here drops a very strong Seeker weapon, and I might be able to field kill them at this point.
That means
Mage, yeah, Gallica's saying it, Summoner is iffy. Does she say that before you got Summoner? She probably doesn't. Memorandum. Scoundrel's Hold, an underground desert cave not too far from Grand Trad. Its deceptively small entrance conceals a vast maze-like expanse. Originally a natural cave, it became both home and hideout to local bandits of the time, and they dug out its boundaries to the grand fortress-like size it now boasts. Their unchecked expansion, however, led to the invasion by horrors of all kinds, and the new threat soon drove the bandits from their lair, leaving it a labyrinth ruled by goblins.
I too have the power to journey.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, Magic Seeker does not count as a staff user for making goblins angry, so she can do this, and this is another reason why Masked Dancer is pretty decent, because I can use the Clerical Wizard's Mask to get some spells without having to be a Goblin Berserkifying class. Oh, and I do have some more Leaves of Light. You know what? Maybe I can get Stroll up to... There we go!
Power to wield.
Martial Law is interesting. I may want to show that at least once. Not really sure I want to spend the mag to inherit that. +3 strength is great. And the remaining Leaves of Light... Actually, no. I need to put more into Juna's Faker because she needs to max that. I actually don't even have Trickster unlocked, though. Oh! I don't even have Samurai unlocked either! Wow, okay. I've been neglecting Stroll too much. I need rank 7 to get that, so that was dumb. Oh well, at least I'll be getting like more Heroes Leaves of Light by fighting as a Swordmaster. So some of the enemies that drop that Seeker weapon are level 43. So if they are field killable, I can switch Will to Thief and try and farm those.
Wait.
Although, actually, no, I can't, because I think that only applies to the common enemy drop. But yeah, anyway, we're going in here, and I don't think I have any Goblin Berserkifiers right now, so let's just go on down. Yeah, that right there, that's... we know that you're field killable, but that... Okay, does not appear to be field killable. Oh, no, it is. Okay, good. So it is field killable. But I will need to try and steal from it. I think that's the only way I'll be able to do that. So let's equip the Prowler's Pipe on Heizme. In that case, maybe Juna out Heizme in. Because here we go, yeah. We got this. Yeah, that's a Goblin. Oh, it has to be a Manhunter Goblin Lego. But we also have the Hexer Goblin Lego. So yeah, it's the Manhunter Goblin Lego I need to keep an eye out for, because that I need to steal from. Apparently, that Seeker weapon also sells for a lot of money. Didn't actually. I was like, oh hey, I can actually beat you by just bonking you in one hit with the crossbow, but no. That wasn't quite enough. It's... The thing is that, like, in spite of, like, this being kind of an interesting concept of, like, a bandit's, like, cave hideout, you don't really see a lot of Fire Emblem chapters that work like that. Okay, yeah, that's definitely the Manhunter Goblin Lego, and yeah, this is the one, this is field killable. So let's see if I can steal. Yeah, there is that weapon, and there are 2 of them on the field. So maybe I can steal from the other one, too. Adamant Nightblade! That's an assassin's skill! I mean, that is kind of generally true of a lot of Shin Megami Tensei. For some reason I thought that Eupha could steal. Like, yeah, a lot of things that you can... The general rule is, anything you can do, the enemy can do too. But okay, I have 2 of those now. I do use Eupha quite a lot in my personal playthroughs, so I remember a lot of her quotes. Kind of like I remember a lot of Heizme's quotes. We are losing a lot of hidden evasion. If you want, you can just run from these fights and then steal their weapons again. That's another potential thing. Okay, so here is the... I think that's the buff from, like, increasing physical attack damage. For now, just Fiery Strike, and then let's try and finish you off. There we go. Don't want to spend too much MP here. The thing about this dungeon is that, in a way, this is one of the few places I kind of want to have Inclement Weather on, because nothing in here has a weakness except the Elementa and the boss. Yeah, 290 power, that's pretty good. Half damage received by an enemy ambush. Well, I would say, hopefully you never get into an ambush, so that doesn't even do anything. But, like, I got wrecked by skeletons in the last dungeon, so I'm not really taking my chances. Parquet chest? Pocket chest? I don't know.
Hey.
Okay, so
So with this, we can get Neuras to rank 5. Well, we can't show it right away, because, you know, we gotta actually finish the dungeon first. but on the way to the Spire of Blind Faith, I'll be able to rank up Neuras again. I feel like I haven't really ranked him up in a while. But that is kind of just how it goes with Neuras. Because he's very much, like, he's not technically a plot Link. Link, Confidant, you know, just Bond, really. Oh. Oh! Hello there! Well, time for some practice for the boss.
Fight well. They're weak to piercing attacks. Hit them all in one fell swoop.
Good thing I kept Heisme for stealing, because we can grab another Evil Eye Talisman.
One for the captain. Let's keep it going.
Every souls of kings.
Oh yeah, these things are also weak to wind. Oh yeah, nothing but the boss, the Elementor, and the Cyclops is weak to anything in this dungeon. So, a few things, but none of the Goblins are weak to anything. And that means that you do often end up, that they're supposed to be weak to ailments, but as I said earlier in the playthrough,
Excellent. I've grown more powerful.
it doesn't give you a press turn, and that kind of disincentivizes you from using ailments. That was not a crawl space, it was in fact a cliff. Speaking of cliffs, down here we go. And we have through here probably some more like goblin-shaped enemies.
Seem pretty weak.
Archer, Goblin, Ligo. Yeah, I don't really need to bother that much with you. So yeah, this will take us right back up, but I want to explore a little bit around here first. If I seem to be in good spirits right now, it's because I recently got a really nice comment on one of my fanfictions on AO3. Okay, this place has actual doors. Infrastructure that the bandits built, maybe? So in we go. Like goblins and orcs really are kind of the fantasy equivalent of Fire Emblem bandits, just like the early adversaries that you fight. I would say the thing that you generally just don't need to feel bad about fighting, but like lately a lot of media has been very big on portraying like orcs as an oppressed minority instead of just like generic enemies. And like, to be honest, my thoughts on that, it really depends on the setting. Like all tropes, you can make it work. But I also think that you can. Oh great, I really didn't expect to be getting into this can of worms tangent this soon. But like my own view has always been that you can still do evil orcs, but you really have to make sure you don't imply any sapience in them at all. Like, for example, nobody complains about the bokoblins in Breath of the Wild, because it's very much implied that they are Ganondorf's dark magic in physical form, rather than actually sentient beings with a culture. Like, it's really all about just how a fantasy species is portrayed that kind of can determine whether or not it's problematic to, you know, have them always be enemies. For example, it's a massive hot take of mine, but I find the portrayal of dragons in Fire Emblem Three Houses to be deeply, deeply problematic. But, again, it's kind of a hot take. Not a lot of people feel that way, feel the same way as me. But just the fact they always use this kind of rhetoric, like, even though they are established as fully sapient, and honestly, Zenith and Flame are like some of the nicest people in that entire game, even on the routes where you oppose them. You also have characters who use rhetoric like, they might look like us, but they're really monsters in human skin. I'm sorry, but whoever wrote that, did you seriously think that through before you wrote that, especially in a story about how somebody's birthright shouldn't matter? Anyway, let's not get into Fire Emblem Three Houses discourse in a Metaphor ReFantazio video, but, yeah, I feel like I'm one of the few people who takes severe issue with the way that plot point is handled, especially since the game is supposed to have an anti-racism, plot in other regards.
Good finish. Great work, everyone.
But I've said, like, earlier in the playthrough that I suppose that's why undead are just so commonly made just the generic enemies of fantasy settings, because undead are, like, the one type of creature that you know that nobody is ever gonna feel bad for fighting. Because, like, in a way, in a lot of works, killing them is kind of a good thing because it puts their souls to rest. That's why I actually love... Have I mentioned this before? One thing that I really like about Final Fantasy X, the way that it handles generic monsters and kind of helps makes fighting generic monsters less, like, I guess, problematic, because even if you're not, I guess I'm kind of hypocritizing my own point here, but even if you aren't making them like sentient species, sometimes with killing monsters for fun, you also get that whole thing of like environmentalism, like you could be like, just, you know, causing ecological destruction by like wiping out, you know, a bunch of dire wolves that are just naturally occurring in the ecosystem. So, Final Fantasy X's solution to it that I really like is that all of the monsters in that game are literally dead people who can't move on to the afterlife unless you banish them. So, you never feel bad about fighting monsters because it just, like, the way that when you finish them off, they dissolve into fireflies, like, you're just putting the people's souls at rest. Like, the act of fighting any monster in that world is a, like, legitimately altruistic thing. Yeah, I don't know, I didn't even plan to talk about this tangent, it just kind of came to me naturally, but I really, really hope that I'm handling this in the right way. I did find a video that was one of the more nuanced takes on a video about, like, evil orcs in media that I've seen, and yeah, I would link it. The problem is, like, the second half of the video, is kind of like a hit piece against another channel, which is, like, it's awkward when you like half of a video essay and then you don't like another half of it. I found a video essay on the Devil May Cry animated series that was also similar. I liked the first half of it. It did a really good job of analyzing the... Is that the thing I went down, or is that a different way? I guess we'll find out. I like the first half, really good analysis of why the Devil May Cry animated series wasn't that great, but it kind of spent the entire second half pretty much just being a gigantic character assassination of the director. And yeah, I get it, you don't like the show, but like, I kind of feel like it was just trying to justify acting like he's a morally bad person or something, and I just quit the video at that point. Ah, here we go. There's less of a gap on the other side, so I assume the crawl space would be on the other side, but no, the crawl space is here. Yeah, it's always an awkward feeling when there's an enemy in here, isn't there? I see these. Just a regular old goblin. I probably should be using Merchant or Thief here. You know, I think I'll go Thief, just in case I can actually steal something good from the Ligos. I'm pretty sure that you only get the enemy's common drop from the hero passive. I mean, I can check, but, yeah, the in-game descriptions aren't always perfect. It just says an item, but I'm pretty sure it's only the common drop. Steel takes the rare drop. Oh, hello there, Teeth. Are you switching party members in battle? The turn was going to stay the same as it was before you switched. Okay, that's good to know. They don't get as much experience until you rank up their bonds, that is. Oh. Well, okay, I think maybe now let's not go with Thief on Will. Sniper! The moment I switched it is the moment that I didn't actually want it. You know, I just realized that I had another topic that I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is cyclopses. So, looking up cyclopses, I did actually find some interesting things that I didn't really expect to find. And I am enjoying doing all this research and finding out more things about... Okay, I guess now I want Merchant. Slash Thief. Let's see if what I get from Thieves. I'm so sorry. Yeah, a lot of status items. They really want you to be using those on the goblins, but because they don't really give press turn advantage, I don't really care about that. I knew they were from Greco-Roman mythology, but what I didn't know is there were actually 3 different broad categories of cyclopses from Greek myth. The first is from Hesiod, and there were 3 cyclopses specifically. And there's a magma crystal here. What are you making? Oh, you just make goblins. Yeah, I think I'd rather just take out the crystal, but that is an AoE attack that I want to avoid. Yeah, Thief's field attacks are pretty iffy in general. That thing's probably gonna run. I can always just respawn it and, debt collected after I have, after I've finished off the boss of this dungeon. But yeah, these cyclopses were, more inhabiting the realm of the gods, and they were the ones who forged Zeus's thunderbolts, Poseidon's trident, and Hades' helmet of invisibility. which seriously needs to be referenced in more fantasy media. I love that the Hades game did, but it was obligatory because that game is all about Hades. I think it's probably more of a metaphor about how, like, death comes for anyone, even when they least expect it, but, like, I just like the idea of Hades having a helmet. I think he lent it to one of the Greek heroes, too. Hades was, like a weirdly nice guy, sometimes, even though the Greeks kind of didn't like to mention his name. It's also kind of funny because, like, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but, so like, there's actually been kind of a bit of backlash sometimes against the whole idea of like, oh, Hades wasn't really as evil as like Disney's Hercules portrays him. He was totally fine and like the other Greek gods were bad. That may be true, but apparently Hades' perception in mythology may have simply been affected by the fact that the Greeks just didn't like to write about him. And there's kind of a good reason for that, and that is that everybody inevitably ends up in his realm eventually. So you don't want to piss off the guy who is essentially going to be your permanent landlord in the future. And I honestly love that. It's it's just kind of a very logical way to think about things. I think that's pretty much everything in this dungeon, so let's go for the boss. Okay, I will have Stroll in Warrior, in Swordmaster and not Gunner, to enable Hulkenberg's Flying Guard thrust. But I will inherit a Pierce skill. Just 2 Leaves of Light, and they are both going on Eupha. I don't think I'm getting Cyclone anytime soon, though. Nah, not until 15. Actually, out of curiosity, we only need 1 more archetype before we can complete Moore's next request. I think the best odds of me doing that is getting Ninja on Heisme. I think I'll start this fight with Heisme and then I'll go Stroll later. I mean, somebody's going to be missing out on the initial attack buff regardless. But yeah, the boss here is basically exactly the same as the other Cyclops we've been fighting. Weak to Pierce and Wind. So yeah, the second and arguably most famous Greek Cyclops is Polyphemus. He lived in a society of Cyclopses who are all shepherds that Odysseus encountered in the Odyssey. Polyphemus wasn't like the more wise artisan Cyclopses from the earlier myths. Polyphemus was more of a brute who ate people, and was a shepherd.
Let's hurry.
Not that shepherds aren't sophisticated, but yeah, he was a shepherd. And he was also a son of Poseidon. And then...
They're weak to piercing attacks. Hit them all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, there's the Cyclops, by the way. These are its stats. And then there was a third category of Cyclopses. These ones were said to have built a certain wall that really does exist in Mycenae and Tiryns.
Let's go. Maybe to the rear guard.
So yeah, make sure you go for single target attacks because this guy apparently goes berserk if you take out any of his minions. So good thing we're not really able to use. Good thing we're not really able to use... Oh, okay, right. You need to go back and switch out Heisme for Stroll.
I'm counting on you. I can't afford to hold back. Are you prepared?
Because now Stroll can get in here with the poison shots, but really he just enables that skill from Hulkenberg. It's already basically half down, though. Yeah, this fight's not... This dungeon's not really hard if you do it after the Dragon Temple, but it can be done before. And that's really all about your choices affecting a lot in this game. The order you choose to do things in can really impact things. Unfortunately, I have to still endure these things, and yeah, I wouldn't even want to use, Vacant Stare, eh? Okay. I wouldn't really want to use, Summoner here anyway, because, it would be an AoE attack for the most part, and that would damage the minions and make this guy go berserk. Dark Knight looks so cool. But yes, that was Polyphemus of the Aussie Bear, those third Cyclopses that built those, like, actual walls that really existed. In general, I find that a lot of cultures have a fascination with one-eyed creatures. I don't know exactly why. There's a theory that that the prevalence of one-eyed creatures in folklore is due to like people discovering elephant skulls and the hole in the skull that we now know is actually a hole for a trunk.
Let me help.
People might have assumed that was a giant eye socket, but some people have disputed those theories. I'm not entirely sure why, but apparently those theories are disputed. Then again, the information that those theories are disputed comes from Wikipedia, which, you know, not always reliable, but still. So yeah, that is good to remember.
I can do this.
But like, I don't know if my theory is like honestly, there's a cool aesthetic to a monster with only one huge eye, and maybe there's just this kind of idea that that like if you have one really big eye, somehow it's even more powerful and even better at seeing things than like multiple small eyes. I mean, even the Mustari with their 1/3 eye, that one's a lot bigger than an average eye. There's just something about big eyes that seems to imply wisdom or far-seeing. I don't know, that's just my own personal theory. This didn't come from anything that I found looking up online, but I just feel like there's just, like, it's in a lot of different cultures. One-eyed creatures is just very common. Even the Amiparsians who were at war with the Griffins, I'll talk about that once we get to the Spire of Blind Faith. So, for now, let's return to the entrance. I'm entirely doing this to respawn the Elementa, just so that I can get, like, one little bit of extortion of mag before I leave this place. On the subject of, any trope being, this is back to that earlier discussion about, like, orcs and stuff, on the subject of, like, any trope being, like, just how it's handled, I'm reminded of the way that, like, Brennan Lee Mulligan is handling the world of Ahriman in Critical Role Campaign 4, where he's actually doing some complete inversions of certain fantasy tropes. Because in that world, due to complicated reasons, essentially the orcs started a revolution against their equivalent of Sauron, which later led to a revolution against all the gods of the world, and the society that formed in the aftermath led to the orcs being at the top of the social hierarchy, because of them being, like, the ones who started the revolution in the first place, and ended up forming the, sort of forming the majority of, like, the new, like, city. Meanwhile, the elves in this world are the oppressed minority, because they were the ones who were least likely to want to rebel against their god, and therefore were seen as the traitors to the revolution that ended up winning. So, yeah, again, it's just interesting takes on different fantasy tropes by different authors. So, with that, how much mag do I have right now? I have over 100,000. Yeah, this Elementor extortion trick really does add up. Especially if you max out a merchant early. With action, like, as in all of these, I've gone back and, shown what happens when we return to town every time. So let's do that, and then we'll call it, because I'm used to having to go to another dungeon on the road, but, I wouldn't even be doing that towards the Spire of Blind Faith, because I found out that is a bad idea, because it runs out the weather clearing. Now, the food does look nice here. Probably a lot of good fresh fish. Oh, right, yeah, I'll be able to do this, the next day. And we certainly have grown fairly strong into ourselves. Don't forget to report to the recruitment center tomorrow. Don't worry, I won't. Well, I think I am actually going to be taking a break from recording soon, so hopefully I remember when I get back to recording next time. No, not really the ring. That was not a particularly hard dungeon, but sometimes you need these, especially after, like, the Dragon Temple. So, I'll see you all next time, everyone, as I think I'll go to the Spire of Blind Faith next time.